Workouts, practicing, getting better is so rarely about what you do in practice, and really what separates you in anything you want to do is going to be the unrequired work, and that's a big thing that I emphasize with our guys. It's the unrequired work that's going to ensure that you maximize what your potential is. We all have a potential level. We all have an expiration date on our basketball careers. The guys who push back, basketball careers are like, it's like a jug of milk, right? You put it in the fridge, you know what I mean? At some point in time, that thing's it's gonna be bad, right? And you go to pour it, into your bowl of cereal, right? And you take a bite, right, of your Fruity Pebbles or whatever, and that milk is sour. So everybody's got an expiration date on their career in the game of basketball, right? The guys who push it back are the guys who are doing the unrequired work that's not asked of you, right? If you only show up to practice and that's the only time you work, you might be the best player on your current team. Absolutely, you very well may be. But what you've done is you put a cap on where you can go and what you can be. Because you're not doing the extra stuff, right? So, when I was working for the Houston Rockets, I'd get to the Toyota Center at about 7 a.m., right? That's where they play the games. And who would roll in at about 7:30? This was last year. I didn't really know him at that point in time. Chris Paul, 7:30 every morning. The guy's there, 7:30. He's a Hall of Famer. He's already a Hall of Famer. He could stop playing. He's already made all kinds of money. He's got, wife, kids, family, and he's a family man, absolutely. But 7:30 every morning, there he is. Well, who's the second guy that shows up in the gym? Well, it's James Harden, right? So there he is, 7:45, right? And they've got two kind of different ways they go about things, but I tell you this, they all are out there doing this unrequired work. You don't just happen backwards into being or becoming as good as they are. Now, do they have some genetic qualities that maybe separate them? Absolutely, for sure, right? But Chris Paul isn't that fast. He's certainly not that tall, that long, or that athletic. James Harden, he's not fast. He can get off the ground a little bit, but, if he stops working out for 2 or 3 weeks, he can gain a quick 10 pounds and be a fat guy pretty quick. You know what I mean? He knows that. So that's why, he's getting in there. He's on the treadmill. He's got like full sweats on, and he's hammering out a sweat before he takes the court. And every day he does his work, he practices, and then after practice he has his post-practice routine, right? So all these things that come together, there's no coincidence why these guys are so good, why they are as good as they are. After I got done playing college, I was fortunate. I got to play 8 years professionally. I played in the NBA Development League, won a championship there, won a Euro Challenge championship in Germany, played in Spain, Italy, Portugal, New Zealand, traveled the world playing. And nowhere I went was I, one of those genetic type freaks, right? I wasn't the 6'8" guy with the long arms who could jump out of the gym. That wasn't what I was, but I was a guy who would just outwork people. And so I kept doing that and I kept staying with that. So Clint came into the arena last summer, right? And he's Swiss and he's a funny guy. And he gets to that and he says, I want to work on my touches, right? He wants the low post. I want to own the low post. Okay, no, Clint, forget about the low post. One of Mike D'Antoni's favorite sayings is live by the post, die by the post. Hakeem Olajuwon ain't walking through those doors, and it's a different style of game. So you know what we did with Clint? If you can imagine, this is the court. Let's say this is the basket right here. This is the lane. Put a chair right here in the deep corner area and put a chair right here in the high slot area. Clint stand at half court. I'd be right there. Our other coach would be right there. Clint would sprint to the low chair, set the screen, spin out. We'd throw a lob. He'd dunk it. He'd sprint back to half court, come over to my chair, set it, spin out, lob, dunk. We had chairs over there. We'd go to the other side. We'd do the same thing. We'd do it for 30 minutes. We'd shoot free throws. And he'd come and say, what do we do now? We do the same thing again for 30 more minutes. If you want to make $90 million, all you need to do is screen, roll, catch lobs, get rebounds, block shots. That's it, right? What happened was I was working with a couple guys. One, his name is Robert Covington. The other's name is Tyler Johnson. So those were two guys who were undrafted who easily could have said, dang, I didn't make it. I didn't get drafted. Everybody has aspirations of that. And, what next, right? Well, both of those guys continued to work. They both went to the NBA Development League. And then Tyler signed at that point in time, which was what would have been the largest contract for an undrafted player in NBA history, $50 million. Well, then Robert Covington had to one-up him last year by signing a $62 million deal and making second-team all-defense. But what I can assure you of, right, is the same qualities that these guys demonstrated, in terms of work ethic, unrequired work, going the extra mile, and all those types of, things that are cliched are the reasons why they are where they are, because none of those guys, neither of them, have any sort of super separating physical, tangible ability that they just woke up with one morning, right? So they didn't fall backwards to where they were. They didn't get there by accident. If you want to make $80 million, I know a guy named Ryan Anderson. He can barely walk and chew gum. He can defend his shadow, barely. His shadow sometimes is a little, whoa, you know what I mean? $80 million. All he's got to do is make about 80% when he's open, shoot 45% from the three-point line. The interesting thing about that, if you think about it, good three-point shooters shoot 40%. That means 60% of the time you miss, you fail, right? 60% of the time, right? Well, extremes. Make 45% of all your three-point shots, you might make $80 million one day. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for your time. Hey, and I appreciate your guys' effort. I thought you guys did a great job. Thank you.